Guys, this whole thing with Britt suddenly feels way bigger than anybody in Port Charles realizes. Because at first, it looked like Britt was just fading into the background again. Sick, quiet, keeping distance. Almost like she already accepted the ending that's coming with Huntington's. But now it feels like Britt is secretly setting up one final war before she disappears. And if you ask me, no one saw this coming because Britt is not thinking about survival anymore. That's the dangerous part. When somebody stops fighting for themselves, they start making moves nobody else is willing to make. And that's exactly where this story is heading. Britt already knows her time is limited. She gave up treatment. That alone changes everything. It means she's operating with nothing left to lose. And honestly, that makes her more dangerous than Sidwell and Cullum probably realize. What really caught my attention is Cassius. Britt finding out her own brother is working for Sidwell and Cullum? That's already messy enough. But then add the fact that Cassius kidnapped Jocelyn and locked her away at Windermere? Yeah, that changes the entire game. Because Britt can forgive a lot. But watching her brother turn into a monster, I don't think she can live with that. And this is where Nathan's shadow suddenly comes back into the story in a huge way. It seems that Britt still sees Nathan as the standard Cassius was supposed to live up to. A real cop. Somebody who protected people instead of terrorizing them. So now Britt's looking at her brother and seeing the exact opposite. A man helping Sidwell and Cullum destroy lives. That guilt is eating her alive. I think the moment Britt discovers Jocelyn is being held captive, everything escalates instantly. She's going to force Cassius to release her. No hesitation. No bargaining. But here's the problem. Cassius probably refuses. And honestly, that refusal could become the spark that blows up the entire Sidwell-Cullum alliance. Because Britt finally realizes something terrifying. As long as Sidwell and Cullum stay united, Cassius keeps getting pulled deeper into darkness. He keeps becoming more violent, more reckless, more loyal to criminals instead of justice. So Britt may decide the only way to save her brother is to destroy the people controlling him. That's where things start getting really wild. Because if Britt tears apart the alliance between Sidwell and Cullum, those two men immediately become enemies. And let's be real here, both of them know too much about each other to walk away peacefully. This wouldn't be some simple betrayal. This would be a full-blown internal war. And the fallout could change everything for multiple characters at once. Take Rocco. Right now, that shooting hanging over Rocco's head is still dangerous. Even if secrets are being buried, the truth always finds a way to leak out in this town. But if Sidwell turns on Cullum and eliminates him first, suddenly the entire situation changes. Cullum disappears. The case disappears. The pressure on Rocco disappears. And just like that, one hidden crime could vanish into the dark forever. That's the crazy part about Britt's plan. It's reckless, but it could accidentally save multiple people at once. And then there's Jason. This man is literally carrying a crime that isn't even his. Jason took the fall to protect Rocco. We all know it. He didn't shoot Cullum, but he's still the one trapped under the weight of it. And Britt knows the truth. Honestly, I think that matters more than people realize because Jason protected someone Britt cares about. Jason became the shield, and Britt has always remembered the people who stood by her when everybody else turned away. So now, Britt may feel like she owes Jason a debt. And if Cullum dies during this war with Sidwell, then suddenly there's nobody left to push charges against Jason. Nobody left to continue the hunt. Jason walks free. Again, Britt's plan starts looking terrifyingly effective. But here's where the darker possibility creeps in. What if Sidwell loses instead? That changes everything. Because Cullum surviving is the nightmare scenario. If Cullum comes out on top after this war, Britt becomes a target immediately. There's a strong chance Cullum figures out Britt manipulated the entire collapse of the alliance. And if that happens, he won't forgive her. He'll hunt her. And honestly, I think Britt already knows that. But that's what makes this storyline feel so heavy right now. Britt doesn't care about protecting herself anymore. She already accepted death the second she walked away from treatment. So in her mind, risking her own life probably feels meaningless now. That's dark. Really dark. Because Britt might actually believe sacrificing herself is worth it if it saves Jocelyn, protects Rocco, frees Jason, and pulls Cassius away from Sidwell's influence. That's not survival anymore. That's somebody planning an ending. And I think Lucas is starting to realize exactly how dangerous Britt's mindset has become. Lucas knowing the truth about Marco is massive here. Because if Britt exposes the secret that Cullum attacked and killed Marco, then Sidwell and Cullum are basically forced into conflict. There's no going back after that. The trust is shattered instantly. And Lucas probably understands what Britt is really doing. She's engineering a war. That's why Lucas may try stopping her before she crosses that line. Not because he supports Sidwell or Cullum, but because once Britt pulls that trigger, there's no controlling the chaos afterward. People die in wars like this, and Lucas still isn't ready to give up on Britt. That part matters. It seems that Lucas wants one more chance to save her, one more desperate attempt to secretly get the Huntington's medication from Sidwell. And honestly, that idea is unbelievably risky because stealing from Sidwell could be a death sentence by itself. But Lucas probably thinks it's worth trying if it means Britt survives. The problem is Britt may not want survival anymore. That's the heartbreaking twist sitting underneath all this chaos. Everybody around Britt is still trying to save her. Meanwhile, Britt is acting like somebody already saying goodbye internally. And that creates this, what if Britt's real endgame isn't escaping Port Charles alive? What if she's trying to clean up as much damage as possible before she disappears forever? Because now the rumors about Britt secretly leaving town start sounding way more suspicious. At first, it felt like a quiet exit story, but now it feels like Britt may vanish only after detonating one final bomb in the middle of Sidwell and Cullum's empire. And imagine the timing. Jocelyn freed. Cassius exposed. Sidwell and Cullum turning on each other. Jason released. Rocco protected. Then Britt disappears. Guys, that would be one of the darkest and most tragic exits this show has done in a long time. But I still keep circling back to Cassius. Because I don't think Britt wants to destroy her brother. I think she wants to save him from himself before it's too late. That's why this feels personal instead of strategic. Britt isn't acting like a mastermind villain here. She's acting like somebody desperately trying to stop her family from collapsing completely before she dies. And honestly, that desperation makes people unpredictable. What if Cassius snaps after Britt confronts him? What if he turns against Sidwell himself? What if Jocelyn becomes the witness that exposes everything? Or worse, what if Cullum figures out Britt's plan before she can finish it? Because if that happens, Britt may never get the chance to leave town at all. And that's the giant question hanging over everything now. Is Britt about to pull off one final dangerous move that saves everyone around her? Or is she walking straight into the last trap of her life?